Tonight, deadline extended. The cutoff to sign up for health insurance was supposed to be today, but if you're in line, turns out tomorrow's okay too. Nancy Cordes has more. Nearly 500,000 without power. Don Daler on the deadly ice and the rain that is changing many plans this holiday week. After that security breach, can Target regain its customers' trust? Anna Werner has our story. And lifting lives. Jeff Pegues on a program that rebuilds from the outside in.
If we don't allow them the opportunity to follow that positive path, then we guarantee the outcome that none of us want.
This is the CBS Evening News with Scott Pelley.
Good evening, everyone. Scott is off tonight. I'm Jeff Glor. As millions race toward a deadline, the White House is moving the finish line. The cutoff to sign up for health insurance that takes effect next year was supposed to be tonight. But today, the White House said if you begin the process by tonight, tomorrow works as well. At last count, just over 1 million had signed up for insurance under the Affordable Care Act. The goal was to have more than 3 million by this time. With today's new developments, we begin in Washington with Nancy Cordes. Nancy?
And Jeff, the administration was reluctant to go public with that tweak today. They didn't want to encourage people to wait until tomorrow. They view it as a last resort for those who tried to sign up today, but couldn't because at times demand exceeded capacity.
These last-minute shoppers at Highland Mall in Austin, Texas weren't there to buy gifts.
There's the policy number and then there's a member ID.
They were there to purchase health insurance through the Federal Exchange with the help of staffers from a local nonprofit. 28-year-old Elizabeth Anderson, who owns a clothing store, says she didn't wait until the last day by choice.
It's not like we just woke up today and found out today was the last day. We actually have been trying this whole time.
The group, called Insure Central Texas, signed up more people today than they did in all of October and November. Director Elizabeth Colvin.
The past few days, we've seen about 100 a day. It's been very busy, so we'll probably surpass 100 today.
There was a mad dash in Miami, too, and Virginia, and online. By 5 p.m., more than 1 million people had visited healthcare.gov, about 5 times more than last Monday. Some users were told to wait here when they tried to log on, or to leave their email so they could be notified when demand slowed. The administration announced the 24-hour enrollment extension at midday, but warned you should not wait until tomorrow. If you're aiming to get coverage January 1st, you should try to sign up today. Complicating matters, some of the 14 states that run their own exchanges announced their deadlines would not be slipping. Insurance companies have already warned it will be difficult to process all those new applications by January 1st, which is just 8 days away.
And that is the next big test for Obamacare. Will people who sign up now be able to use their coverage smoothly come January 1st? Those who don't need coverage right away, Jeff, still have several months to sign up. Open enrollment runs through the end of March.
Nancy Cordes, thank you very much. Tonight, many holiday plans are on hold because of the winter storm that dumped ice and snow from the nation's midsection to Maine. More than 470,000 homes and businesses lost power. Adding to the misery, another blast of cold air that is due by midweek. Here's Don Daler.
Throughout the Midwest, holiday travel was a white-knuckle affair. At least 3 deaths were blamed on dangerously slick roads in Oklahoma. Ice storms have knocked down trees and power lines. On Saturday, shoppers had to dodge falling sheets of ice at a mall. Meteorologist Eric Fisher of Boston affiliate WBZ.
There are numbers in Montana and North Dakota and down to Iowa right now that you wouldn't believe. Wind chill values down 30, 40 below zero. Very dangerous cold to be outdoors in.
With temperatures plummeting to 25 below zero, engine block heaters were on wish lists in North Dakota. Debbie Redfern is a taxi dispatcher in Minot.
Nobody's car wants to start.
And so they call you?
Yep, needing to get a ride as soon as possible to get to work or whatever else they need to be doing this morning.
Over 300,000 homes are without electricity in Michigan, over 40,000 in Vermont and New York. And in Wellesley, Massachusetts, a golden retriever named Crosby had to be rescued by firemen when he fell into the Charles River. But it's flooding that's causing devastation in numerous states. In Kentucky, at least 5 people have been killed. Parts of Indianapolis looked like a lake. Bewildered residents could only stand on their porches and watch the waters rise. Since Saturday, more than 1,200 flights have been canceled. By contrast, the temperatures in the Northeast have been freakishly warm. Over the weekend, records weren't just broken, they were smashed, sometimes by as much as 8 degrees. Jeff?
Don Daler, thank you. 2 days before Christmas, Target said it's working closely with state and federal investigators to assess the damage from that massive data breach. Hackers stole information from up to 40 million customers. How are shoppers reacting? Here's Anna Werner.
News of the credit card breach didn't stop customer Carrie Little from shopping. She brought her grandson to the Target store in the Dallas suburb of Irving.
It can happen to anyone. I mean, it's happened to several other stores before that, you hear about it on the news.
Not everyone felt so comfortable. In Connecticut, 20-year-old college junior Erica Aiken discovered someone drained $1,200 from her bank account on December 13th.
There were 6 transactions that were not mine all made at a Target in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, which I'm not in Harrisburg.
Thank you for your patience.
Target and its CEO tried to reassure upset customers. The company said hackers did lift customer names, credit or debit card numbers, and card expiration dates, but missed some key information. It said there is no indication that PIN numbers have been compromised on affected bank-issued PIN debit cards or Target debit cards. Keith Squires heads a Dallas-area cybersecurity firm.
Whoever planned this was pretty sophisticated. They started it at the right time knowing that the volume of activity that they would pick up would be caught, but because of being around Black Friday, they knew they could get quite a bit of data before they were caught.
Target is working to contain the damage. It gave discounts to shoppers over the weekend and promises to monitor their credit for free. Ty Jackson of Dallas says he won't need it.
I'd probably use cash instead of my card.
You mean now or?
Now, like right now.
Now, Chase Bank had lowered some customers' debit card limits in the wake of this, but today told some of them they'll be raising those limits back up. Meanwhile, Jeff, Target Stores is working with the Secret Service to try to figure out how and where hackers got into its system.
Anna, thank you. The Pentagon is responding to the worsening conflict in South Sudan by sending 150 more Marines from a base in Spain to Djibouti. They're now on standby, if necessary, to help with embassy security and to evacuate any Americans remaining in South Sudan. On Saturday, 4 U.S. troops were wounded when rebel forces opened fire on their aircraft. In Russia today, 2 members of a female punk band became the latest prisoners released under a new amnesty law. But as Charlie Daggett reports, they are not thanking Vladimir Putin.
Today, the remaining jailed members of punk group Pussy Riot walked free, but they remained defiant. Maria Alyokina said given the choice, she would have turned it down and stayed behind bars to serve out the rest of her sentence. In eastern Siberia, fellow bandmate Nadezhda Tolokonikova called Vladimir Putin's decision to grant her amnesty a disgusting and cynical act. She said they'd only been let go to soften Putin's image ahead of the upcoming Winter Games. This is what landed them in prison almost 2 years ago, a protest against Putin staged in Moscow's main cathedral. The group's arrest thrust them from an unknown punk band into a focal point against Russia's repression of free speech. Their release came just after Putin also pardoned Mikhail Kalashnikov, a former oil tycoon and once the richest man in Russia. Khodorkovsky was jailed for fraud and tax evasion, charges his supporters say were trumped up because he was seen as a political threat. Russia's government hasn't shown much tolerance for any opposition. It's cracked down on political opponents, gay rights supporters, and Greenpeace activists who boarded a Russian oil rig. Now, up to 20,000 may be released under the new law. Putin has said his new amnesty law was an effort to make Russia's criminal justice system more humane. But, Jeff, critics counter that anyone who poses a real threat to Putin is still locked up and that the Winter Games are only 2 months away.
Charlie Daggett, thank you. A man long praised as a hero in Russia died today. His name was Mikhal Kalashnikov, and his work changed the world when he designed its most famous weapon. The AK-47 has long been the weapon of choice for fighters worldwide. Developed in 1947, an estimated 100 million have been manufactured. They are cheap, powerful, and virtually indestructible, famously working in extreme conditions, where the more sophisticated M16 has been known to jam. Mikhal Kalashnikov first wanted to make farm equipment, but said he began designing guns to protect his homeland. Asked about the AK-47's use in wars and terror attacks, he had no regrets, saying, "I sleep well. It's the politicians who are to blame for failing to come to an agreement and resorting to violence." Mikhal Kalashnikov was 94. American troops are being given anti-malaria drugs despite serious side effects. A surprising way mothers can help prevent peanut allergies in kids. And a holiday homecoming for American soldiers in Minnesota when the CBS Evening News continues. CBS News has obtained documents that reveal American troops may have been put at risk by a potent anti-malarial drug. The drug mefloquine has been given to more than 155,000 service members since 2002. In July, the FDA issued a black box warning about mefloquine due to its potentially severe side effects. Tonight, Wyatt Andrews tells us doctors kept dispensing the drug despite being warned to limit its use.
When Jimmy Corrigan left on deployment in the Navy 3 years ago, he was in the best physical shape of his life. Today, he can't walk without a cane. He gets angry for no reason and has been hospitalized twice to prevent suicide.
Keep your stand up straight.
2 military doctors say Corrigan suffered a brain injury after taking the anti-malaria drug mefloquine. Corrigan, who was never in combat, says his very first dose caused hallucinations and depression.
Something wasn't right, like a doomed kind of sensation, like something's different.
Corrigan's wife, Nikki, says mefloquine destroyed Jimmy's balance and changed his personality.
The best way I can describe someone on mefloquine is literally as if someone had taken my husband's brain and put somebody else's in there.
Army veteran Sean Laraway took mefloquine in Afghanistan in 2002. Laraway says his first dose caused random fits of rage that continue to this day, 11 years since he last took the drug.
I get angry off of little things that I shouldn't get angry about, and I haven't felt the same way since I started taking that drug.
The military has widely dispensed mefloquine for more than 20 years and says most soldiers have taken it without problems. But service members have also been told that vivid dreams, even hallucinations, were normal reactions. Now, the FDA, in its strongest black box warning, says hallucinations are one of several side effects that doctors should consider a red flag.
Is it too strong to say that this is a form of brain injury?
That's exactly what this is. Mefloquine causes toxic brain injury.
Dr. Remington Nevin is a former Army doctor, now with the Johns Hopkins School of Public Health. His studies conclude that mefloquine can cause obvious brain injuries in some veterans like Jimmy Corrigan, but less obvious changes in the mood and personality in thousands of veterans like Sean Laraway.
In some cases, these individuals will be misdiagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder and traumatic brain injury. I think we have a hidden epidemic of psychiatric and neurological injuries due to this drug.
At the Pentagon, officials were aware of increased reports of side effects. They issued 2 directives, first in 2009 and again this year, to give mefloquine only as a last resort drug to prevent malaria. Dr. Jonathan Woodson is the Assistant Secretary of Defense for Health Affairs.
We've been tracking the use of this, and so we've had a 90% reduction in the use of this particular drug.
But records we obtained from the military show that doctors in the field continue to write more than 18,000 mefloquine prescriptions after the 2009 warning. That includes 1,200 doses to service members with mental disorders who should not have received the drug. Last year, Dr. Woodson warned in this memo that soldiers were getting mefloquine without appropriate documentation and without proper screening.
We found some lapses, and we instructed them that they needed to tighten up on compliance with the policy.
Those lapses explain why, in 2011, Jimmy Corrigan was ordered to take mefloquine and, despite his symptoms, to keep taking it.
I was told to be a man at one point.
Be a man as in stop reporting your symptoms?
As in, that's your problem, handle it on your own.
Could you have refused to take this drug?
No, you took it. You followed your orders.
After the FDA warned that side effects from mefloquine might be permanent, the Army Special Forces Command stopped all future prescriptions, making Special Forces the only branch of the military to ban the drug. In every other command and service, Jeff, mefloquine remains the third choice anti-malarial drug and can still be prescribed in the field.
Wyatt Andrews, thank you very much. Pregnant women used to be warned to avoid peanuts, but that is changing. We'll show you why next. Today, researchers said it is okay for pregnant women to eat peanuts and other tree nuts. Elaine Quijano tells us about this big change.
So my favorite thing to eat is peanut butter.
Sasha Brown-Worsham is expecting her third child next month. She remembers her doctor's previous warnings about certain foods.
What was the advice when you had your other children?
So in my first pregnancy, the doctors were actually saying at that time, don't eat any peanuts throughout your pregnancy because it's more likely to cause allergies.
But in a new study, researchers found evidence suggesting the opposite might be true, that expecting mothers who eat nuts may lower their child's chances of having peanut allergies. Dr. Michael Young of Boston Children's Hospital is the study's lead author.
In women who ate peanuts and tree nuts more than 5 times a week, they had children that had a 30% reduction in the risk of developing peanut and tree nut allergies.
The number of children with peanut allergies has tripled in the U.S., from 0.4% in 1997 to 1.4% in 2010. Brown-Worsham is an editor at The Stir, a website for moms. She says peanut allergies are a frequent topic of questions and discussion on the site. She plans to eat peanut butter and nuts for the rest of her pregnancy.
Initially it was just the cravings, but now in hearing that there actually is a reason that I would eat it more, I actually have been thinking of that when I'm eating it. Like, maybe I could eat this more so that my child doesn't end up with an allergy.
Dr. Young says there's no evidence to suggest that what a pregnant woman eats will cause an allergy, no matter what kind of food in her diet. Jeff?
Elaine, thank you. The young men in this gym are lifting themselves out of trouble, reshaping lives by reshaping bodies. Next. Finally tonight, prison can be a revolving door. More than 4 of 10 convicts wind up back behind bars within 3 years of their release. Tonight, Jeff Pegues on a program in Boston that is keeping ex-cons out of trouble and out of prison.
This gym is an oasis for these young men, a place to move beyond their violent past.
So you got to watch your back.
Yeah, every day.
26-year-old Angel LaCourte grew up here in these tough neighborhoods of Boston and watched friends die here as a member of a street gang.
These are 5 of my friends that passed away.
What was your mindset then?
It's either kill or be killed. And that's just the way of the streets out here.
8 years ago, LaCourte was a star running back with a scholarship offer from Boston College, but he fumbled that away after shooting and wounding a man, landing him in prison. When he got out, his probation officer sent him to inner-city weightlifting.
Stand up all the way with it.
A program started by 30-year-old John Feynman with $10,000 of his own money.
Why lifting weights?
It's a hook. Weight training is this kind of common denominator. So it's not this traditional mentor-student relationship. It's, we're lifting some weights, and then it's, how can we help you outside the gym?
The inspiration was Alexin Hercules, a former gang member who Feynman met while working for an after-school program. Alexin got his GED and a full-time job, but last year he was killed by a rival gang member while walking home from a store.
Just because they have turned their life around doesn't mean that the people they might have crossed before are going to forgive them for it.
How's treatment going? Feynman's goal, to provide a safe place where they can receive counseling, take classes, and look for jobs. They come from neighborhoods along Blue Hill Avenue. 80% of Boston's violent crime happens here. Feynman drives his van into these violent neighborhoods every day, making sure his students get home safely.
Have a good one, John. Thank you. At the end of the day, I don't want to let these guys down. These guys, man, they did so much for me. So sit back.
For those who excel in the gym, there's even a paycheck, up to $100 an hour, when they become certified personal trainers to business executives around Boston.
If we don't open that door, if we don't allow them the opportunity to follow that positive path, then we guarantee the outcome that none of us want.
For many here, this is a path to a better life, with a lot of heavy lifting that one day may pay off. Jeff Pegues, CBS News, Boston.
That is the CBS Evening News tonight. For Scott Pelley, I'm Jeff Glor. I'll see you tomorrow on CBS This Morning. Good night.